Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Jess is on maternity leave, so Lauren LaRosa is filling in. And we got a special guest in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Nelly Furtado. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm blessed, black, and highly favored.
New album 7 is out today.
How does it feel to be
Congratulations, by the way.
back? On what?
On your work you're doing for community.
That sounds very
I was
generic.
on your Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
It was inspiring.
She did her homework a little bit to make sure.
It was
See who she was
inspiring.
talking to this morning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be back making music?
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so
Do you like this
happy.
part, having to come do interviews and be interrogated?
It's not as fun sometimes nowadays because everything's clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Sometimes that's challenging, but it's okay. So like kind of share my vibe, my positive energy.
So why so long? It took a long time. 7 years.
Just busy.
Mm-hmm.
I like to kind of keep one foot kind of like in the real world and then one foot in entertainment because entertainment's really fast paced. And you have to really be out there to be successful in my industry. And I've taken the approach for the last 25 years to kind of do it, go hard for a little bit, but then for my own mental health, I kind of need to take breaks.
What do you do during those
And
breaks?
just get
Just your
grounded.
family?
Yeah, what's
I
real
see, you
life
doing,
for
I
you?
see you going through your breathing exercises now, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You having
I'm
a
a
little panic attack?
mom. No,
Oh.
I'm a mom. And so yeah, just like doing the mom thing and kind of like normal life. And then when I'm in the studio, I get to really express myself and write and produce and invite a lot of friends into the studio and have really late nights and fun nights. It's probably the most fun part is making the music for me. I enjoy concerts. I've been out on stage again, performing a lot. That's been really refreshing and good. But like, yeah, you have to take care of yourself,
What part of mom life Nelly Furtado inspires music Nelly Furtado?
This music ain't mom life. This music, we
because I'm
partying.
going to say, because you said
This
bombing.
in Brazil.
I feel like you've always
fist pumping.
done that, though.
This gives me spritzer vibes.
Thank
like
you.
Summer day. Yeah,
Thank you. I worked
a nice
hard.
cocktail.
Okay.
Very
Pink
Yeah.
cocaine.
What?
What's that?
Don't.
Go ahead. Continue. Look at her face.
Okay, so there's a pink Post-it note over there, though.
How did you sniff it off? Nobody notices it.
No, I do have a lot of energy. I mean, to be totally honest, my brain is like, it's different. My brain's different. I have a lot of channels in my brain. I have inattentive ADHD. And this time when I made this record, I was like, I'm just going to lean into that. I'm going to write 10 songs at once. I'm going to invite 50 people at once to the studio. I am going to stay up late till 8 a.m. I'll see what this brain can do. And so, of course, I like festive music. I started to go out again a couple years ago, and I would hear my music everywhere. DJs would play it. People would dance to it. I heard it at house parties.
Still slaps.
Thank
Promiscuous
you.
girl still slaps.
Thank you. Even if you hear I'm like a bird at a house party, it goes down too really well.
Yes.
You didn't work with Timberland this time, right?
We have been in the studio, but for our own single we released last year. We talk all the time. We're family for life. I believe. I think we have very similar natures when it comes to creativity. I think that's why we make special music together, and we will again for sure.
But nothing made this album, right? There's no Timbo.
A lot of
They said you made 400 or
Timbaland
500
adjacent.
songs.
Yeah, it felt like
I had the
Save Your
vocal.
Breath feels like it sounded like Timberland.
I got the it's T minus. T minus is quite influenced by Timbaland. He's a big fan of Timbaland's work. I don't know. Are you familiar with T minus's work? He does a lot for J. Cole. He produces most of J. Cole's stuff, and he's had some great records over the years. But what's great about him is he's passionate. I like to work with people who, sure, they're in the business, but it's more than business. It's family. You know what I mean? It's like you're invested. He wanted to bring out the best in me. So we do have some really, really good beats on this album, really good high quality production. Timbaland's favorite song, I've played him a lot of records. His favorite song is Floodgate, which was produced by FNZ. I don't know if you know their beats, but Save Your Breath, actually, I co-produced and did a lot of vocal production, but T minus actually came with that rhythm. It was different before, and it's a lot of my friends on the song. Yeah.
You said you recorded 400 to 500 songs in the last 4 years.
I have.
That's a lot of music to narrow down to just a couple for the album. So how did you narrow it down, and why so many damn songs?
Because I don't write like I can write just on my own, like with a guitar and do that. I wrote I'm like a bird that way, but when I'm in the studio, I like the approach that I took is I turn the microphones on, and I make it sound like I'm at a show. So I put the speakers and everything really loud. And then I have everybody with microphones, including me, everybody. And then I will only hear the music in the studio when Pro Tools is going, and I can record everything I do because my lyrics and melodies come to me at the same time. Whole entire songs come that way. It just kind of comes.
Were you a talkative child?
I did that when I was a kid. I didn't talk that much, but I would sing. Yeah, I would just sit there and just make up songs, and they made me feel emotional and cry. And I didn't quite understand it, but it is probably the only thing that I do well.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's not millions and millions of things.
I don't have an energy drink. I don't have a beauty line. I don't got patience for that.
So this is natural?
All I got patience for is music. Which one?
This energy you have is natural?
Is that weird?
You're making me a little nervous.
Why?
I don't know. You're just moving and you're talking fast, and I'm like,
She said
is it me? Is it her? Is it
ADD though, right?
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part.
Thanks for listening.
I'm sorry.
That's why she opened with commenting on your mental health work, because she says she deals with ADD and her mental health stuff.
Yeah.
Close your mouth.
I think it's because she was moving fast. It might have went over.
No, for real. Like before, I only got diagnosed a couple of years ago. But as a child and growing up in my teens, I'd be that girl that my friends would be like, "Where did she go?" Because I would just stare into space, and I thought I was a scatterbrain, all the things, and would judge myself, or I thought I was unorganized or lazy or procrastinate. But yeah, it's just that.
How did you do in
people
school?
bore me sometimes, so I ignore them.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying in general, like these two, I ignore them all the time. Like they talk, it's all.
We ignore him too.
We did. That's why we locked in over here. Ain't no switching up. We don't know what he beat over there doing.
Oh, that's okay.
What was it when you were diagnosed? How old were you? Sorry.
Sorry. Maybe ask something.
It's all right. It's okay.
I
Sorry.
don't
Let's
remember
go with it,
that.
Nelly. Let's go with it.
There's a file cabinet in there.
Just go with it.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were diagnosed with ADD?
43.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what was that like, actually
'Cause I'm
having
45.
okay, I know what this is now. I know how to
Oh
work
yeah,
with
I
it.
read a lot of books about it. Oh, particularly women with ADHD, because the experience for women is a little different, because there's more pressure, especially
Got you.
moms, right? It's like you're supposed to have your house together, in all the ways, and so just self-acceptance, self-love.
You got 3 kids, right?
3, yep.
Yes, I do.
And
Yeah.
two you.
21, 6, and 5.
Oh, so the 6-year-old and 5-year-old don't know nothing about music, Nelly Furtado.
Sorta, a little bit.
Okay.
Only because I have a friend, Lido. She's another artist, Lido Pimienta. She's from Colombia, and one day we were chilling because we're all friends. Like the kids are friends with her kids, and she said, they don't even know what you do. Let's let's play them something. And I said, okay, only if I could play your thing too. So we kind of shared that side that day.
What song did you play? What was the first song?
It was Say It Right.
Okay.
I think it was a live performance in Paris or something like that. Yeah, they liked it.
What vibe were you on when you wrote Promiscuous Girl back then? And what did your parents think of it?
My parents? I mean, I was already at the house at that time. I mean, I already had a daughter. So I already kind of had my own house. But I don't know. I've never asked my mom.
Ever? She's never commented on hey, the song, because
No, I
yeah.
don't think so. Well, I mean, I remember being 14 in our house growing up, and Salt and Pepper had a song, Let's Talk About Sex.
Yeah.
And it would come on the little radio in my kitchen. And my mom would be like, turn it off. And I'd be at the kitchen. So I grew up on TLC, Salt and Pepper.
Absolutely.
Very empowered, in talking about sexuality and talking about choice. So I believe Promiscuous is a song about choice. And what I like about it is the male voice and female voice are on an even playing field in the song. But interestingly enough, people still call it Promiscuous Girl, but the song's actually called Promiscuous. It's not girl or boy.
Because of the hook, I think I always thought it was Promiscuous Girl.
No, just Promiscuous.
Wow.
And this new album, 7, What does the number 7 mean to you? I know it's your 7th album. I know you put out an album 7 years ago, but what does the number 7 actually mean to you?
To be honest, I kind of wanted a title that's like really simple, like almost like a fashion collection. And I love the song 7 by Prince. Prince is one of my favorite artists of all time. And I got to meet Prince a few times, and I opened for him before. And I don't know, his music just touches me in a way. So I think that's another sort of thread.
I wonder, because you had so much success with Whoa Nelly, how has your relationship with fame and success evolved over the years? Because there had to be a point where you felt like it was too much, right?
Several times.
Okay.
Yeah, the first it's good that you mentioned the first time, because the first time, when I did my first album, I think a lot happened very quickly. Things like, opportunities, great opportunities. One of my first TV performances was SNL.
Wow.
Like, what the hell? I was
That is
20,
amazing.
deer in the headlights. Like.
Did you understand it at that time? At you said 20, that how big it was, or were you just like, I got to do this thing?
I signed my record deal when I was 20. I just loved music so much. I would do anything. I loved the music. So I was just happy to share the music, because I write my music, So it was like the music nerd inside of me was actually, to be totally honest, I was competing with people that had been, have been kind of grown. They had grown up in the spotlight, maybe through like, the Disney Channel or anything like that, right? But I grew up singing in church or in school. I didn't have experience in front of the TV. I was very nervous singing on TV at first. My voice would shake. It wasn't until my third album, Loose, that I started more choreography and kind of come into playing a character.
How difficult it was it coming from Canada?
Kind of hard at the time.
Because now it's acceptable, right? You see so many artists from Canada, whether it's The Weeknd, Drake, or whatever. But back then it was like they looked at Canada as a whole different world.
It was the best kept secret in the late 90s. Like when I moved there from the West Coast, from Victoria, a really small town. And I moved to Toronto, and I was just 17 years old. I had a trip-hop group called Nelstar. I worked at an alarm company during the day in customer service, and the alarms broke a lot. They're wireless. That's not a good idea. And then I would sing and use the paycheck to pay for my recordings. And we had a burgeoning hip-hop, urban, electronic. It gave me goosebumps when I said that. I feel I have a lot of really nostalgic feelings for Toronto at the time, and so to watch it grow has been really fun.
Blame Drake for all the growth.
And in The Weeknd as well.
In The Weeknd.
Yeah, I love this new
Bieber
song.
too.
Bieber as well.
Yeah, at the time you had to go to the States and sign a record deal in the U.S. to really cross over. But in Canada, the reason why you have so many amazing artists who come from Canada is because we promote our local music. In Canada, there's a rule: you have to pay 30% to local music. So if you're listening to the radio growing up or watching TV, you're going to see 30%. It's called CanCon. So you see Canadian, So Drake, that's why he references so many Canadian things, and you might be, what's that? It's because we're all, grew up respecting and liking the things culturally that we grew up with watching, which are very Canadian.
Invest into it.
Exactly, and so the arts, there's a lot of arts grants and things like that. To kind of develop artists, which is really nice, and I think that's why it feels strong and healthy. And making this album, I made a lot of it in Toronto. It's so easy to find talent there, like any musician, anything, and like there's so much talent. It's crazy.
You said something earlier. You said that you had to play a character.
Oh, well, when you're on stage,
Okay.
I think I started studying acting right before I made Loose, and I learned how to kind of get into a character, and what that means, And so I think in a song, I started realizing that in a video, you can create a whole narrative in your mind the way an actor does. I got a couple of roles from that, I think. People watch videos of mine and say, I think you could do this, And that's how I got a role in Max Payne. I have a small scene with Mark Wahlberg because the director said, I saw Say It Right, and I feel like you could pull off this role. But I remember creating a whole narrative in that video because, I don't ride around in a helicopter. Like, I Say It Right video, I'm in a helicopter. So in my head, I said, okay, what am I? Who am I? Am I like, I'm from a wealthy family or something? Why do I have a helicopter? Where am I going? Am I going to a party? Am I a spy? So you create something in your mind so that the performance looks and feels a certain way.
Did you ever get lost in character so much, just getting lost in the whole Nelly Furtado, the performer of it all, that you had. That's another reason why you had to step away, because you might have been losing yourself a little bit.
Let me think. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think again, it's a fast-paced business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fast-paced, and so you don't have a lot of time to ground or balance, or because that's the nature of travel, right? If you're flying around the world doing concerts, like you don't really have a lot of time to sleep, or you know. So of course you're gonna get burnt out. To answer your question, yeah, you're gonna get burnt out. So yeah, and then the added bonus of when you live real life, you write really good songs. Like if you just like live it out, it's like, okay, you got a lot of content, you know. Whereas, right, imagine if you're just like on the road. I mean, there are people who write really good albums on the road. Timbaland used to have a bus on, I don't know which tour it was, but he had a whole studio bus. He recorded an entire album every night after he got off stage. So depending on what kind of music you make and what inspires you,
Did you party a
anything
lot?
is possible.
Did you party a lot? Because this is a party album. So did you?
In this album?
Yes. Very up-tempo.
Party, like I feel like I went out and celebrated a lot. Yeah, I was like in my element. And I think that there might have been other people around that were like kind of maybe like I get some tequila or something like that. But I don't really drink in the studio. I don't do drugs or drink. I don't do any drugs, but I drink tequila once in a while, but not in the studio. I'm a totally sober. Every song I've ever written, I've been 100% sober. I'm actually proud.
Tequila's plant-based. So that's tequila's plant-based.
No, I know tequila is nice, but I don't write or record under the influence, and I've never done one time I had like a couple sips of alcohol before a show, but it was like just a couple songs, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. I felt so dizzy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I felt I was gonna I had felt flushed, and so. Yeah.
Music is subjective though, because it's all about perspective, right? Like Envy said, he feel like he get the party vibe, but then some people can say they feel like you're healing from a heartbreak on this album because of songs like Love Bites and Ready for Myself and Save Your Breath. So what was your, and I can't even say what was your mental state when you was doing this album, because you did 500 songs.
So what's your vibe, I guess?
Okay, so I had a breakup, and then I was like hurting the day one. Dude, it started off so sad. Like the B-sides are like a whole other record. They're like a really sad emo folk album. Because I got there and I was like, wow, I haven't been here in 5 years. I haven't been to the studio in 5 years. I took a break. I had my 2 babies back to back, 14 months apart. I took time off to be like a stay-at-home mom, which I also love. But it was time to get back in and kind of find myself again, because I think we can all relate. After a breakup, you sometimes lost. You're like, whoa, who am I, you know?
Why did y'all break up, if you don't mind us asking?
Oh, y'all, that's you. You
I
asked
was,
that
no,
question.
I was coming. Vibing over here. No, I was coming in to ask that because some of the songs are Love Bites, Ready for Myself, which I guess Ready for Myself is that you finding yourself again.
Oh, that's a fun one. Yeah, I think, okay, the truth is I did a lot of self-work in the I started this album 4 years ago. And I was doing a lot of journaling, a lot of you know,
therapy.
Yeah, just like really kind of getting to know myself, which is another added bonus of not being on the wheel all the time.
But
you know?
Save Your Breath kind of gives like, you know, you're in a good space now, like you're kind of moving forward, whatever.
Thank you so much.
Record spot.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I'm proud of that one. It's actually probably the one I'm proudest of. Kind of my whole career, actually. Yeah. My friends are on it.
Your whole career?
Yeah.
Whole career is
wow. Wow.
I don't know. But I brought that one up because it's like, to Envy's question, like what were you moving on from? Like what was like you said it was life, but like what is life? Like things happen in relationships. What are those things for you that you're like, this is a no for me? It's time for me to be ready for myself. Just reinvention. Just like you got to reinvent yourself, I think. I thrive off that though. I like that space, you know? I like that space of like, it's just me. Cause I don't know, I'm pretty good at being single. I'm good at it, man.
So Lauren.
So
Lauren LaRosa is too.
First of all, this is my first.
It's a wave.
This is my first adult time being single ever in my adult life. Yeah, so no, it's fun.
Me too. In my 40s.
And your 40s after 3 kids.
Yeah,
so it was back to back to back for you.
Yeah, I had a lot of back to back, and then yeah. It's like kind of like, you know, suddenly single and like
and just taking
43
a breath.
and really knowing yourself is kind of a gift. Yeah.
Do you at this point in your life, like what is getting back to a relationship at some point look like for you? Because I mean, you've been in relationships, 43, 3 kids. Like, are you looking to like marriage next, or do you just want to have fun? Like, what is next for you?
Just dating.
He said, no.
I'm on like fun dates. Yeah. You know? Let's
Yeah.
go eat, whatever, have fun. That's it.
I'm here for it. I understand.
Period.
Now,
That-
this is switching gears. Oh, go
For now.
ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I see
Stay tuned.
Kamala Harris used your record.
I was
Man-Eater.
going there next, Envy.
We on the same
you
wave.
guys
We on the
are
same
so
wave.
funny.
We on the same wave. So how did that feel when you heard her using your record? Did you hear that she used your record, Man-Eater, or no?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they ask you to
We
clear it, or
typed
did they just use it? Or?
emoji. No, it's TikTok. I don't know. It's just like, it's what it is. I'm honored. Yeah.
You think that song scares men away from you?
Oh wait, I think I was asked that before. Like, wait, are you really a man eater? By a guy. But no, I don't think it shouldn't. It's just a song.
Mm-hmm.
Should it?
I don't know.
I don't think it should.
I think it's your world, Nelly
wrong with you laying
Furtado.
down.
I think whatever you want to do, you can do, ma'am.
Nothing wrong with you laying down your groundwork of what he should feel when he is in your vicinity.
You're interesting to me because I just like the space you're in because you are in your own world.
Own
Like
bubble.
you have your
That's right.
own energy.
Thank you.
And I think that's probably
you
why.
gotta preserve your energy, right?
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and not let anybody else shift who you are. Like the whole time we're talking to you, I'm like, oh, there's nothing that's going to shift who she is. She's comfortable with who she is.
Thank you. I've worked really hard at that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come overnight. That's for sure. And I think that's why sort of my ability as a producer and musician has gotten better and greater because now I think when I'm in the studio, I was always confident. I mean, for sure, you know, I was an individual, but now I don't know, I have such healthy sense of detachment and boundaries. I'm not trying to feel everybody's feelings, you know,
Yes.
with that empathy. Like that could be
Absolutely.
hard, you know.
And I get the sense that you're just having fun now because you realize
Yeah.
this shit ain't really about nothing. You got your kids, you can
Yeah.
go home, be a mother when you want.
Yeah, I do have a lot of other interests like outside of music. I mean, they're not that exciting, but I mean, dancing. I like dancing. I like that's why TikTok's fun. You can do dance, go to the dance studio. It helps me with my state of mind, the choreographies, the discipline. But yes, to answer your question, I did use it as almost like to get through the last few years. I was like, okay, well, identity, right? I was talking about identity. It's like, okay, well, what am I good at? I forgot how good I was at music. I was like,
Wow.
Really?
yeah, man. I got to the studio. I was like, wait, I'm really good. And then my songs kept getting played again by DJs and
Wow.
on social media. And it was like I felt called back to it. I felt like, okay, it's easy to like second guess yourself when you have like maybe one hit and you're like 25, you know? And you can maybe have a lot of feelings of, you know, like you're not sure. But when you're 25 years into a career, and then your songs are still touching people, you're reaching brand new audiences, you're reaching kids that weren't even born when the music came out. That starts to feel very real, very authentic, and something you can maybe lean into a little bit more with a little more confidence.
Right.
And so that's what's happened to me the last few years. I found my identity again with my craft of like, I'm good at this. I've always been good at this. It's about the music, you know?
That's interesting because your lyrics always have explored like themes of identity and love and self-discovery. So now these
Confidence.
new personal experiences are influencing, I guess, this new messaging, so to speak.
Yes,
in the
I
music?
would say so. I would say so. It's just beginning and kind of, you know, I mean, you got to stay in there to be good, you know, to be a good, like you got to be in the studio a lot, you know what I mean? If you want to stay like on top of your game, you can't really rest even. You have to kind of keep going. And I found lately, it's all about the flow that you're in and bless you
Thank you.
and access to that originality of sorts, you know?
I always wanted to know, how did you and Timberland meet? Like, how did that relationship come so strong? And then Justin Timberlake later on, like, you
Yeah.
guys were a strong trio. People thought you was going to trio. People thought y'all were going to do an album with each other. So how did y'all
Yeah.
initially meet?
It's a really special chemistry between the three of us. So the really cool, my little origin story with Timbaland, if you would like to hear, is that in 2001, actually no, I put out my first album, Whoa Nelly, in 2000. And one song called Baby Girl, it's kind of like, ching ching ching, ching ching, it's like a vocal arrangement we did. Timbaland heard the song. And someone from a record company said, hey, Timbaland's a fan of yours. He wants to sample this song, but he'd also like to meet you and like to come to the studio. So right away, I was a huge fan already, you know, of Missy's albums and Aaliyah and everything. So I went to the studio and we hit it off from the jump, like right away. It was like, I had to get in the booth. And I started singing over the song. I mean, he hadn't invited me to sing at that point, but I just was like, I need to sing, turn the mic on. And then I was on the song, and it was a sample for Miss Jade, an artist he had at the time. And the song
I
became-
did not know
Jade.
that was so that was a sample of your original song.
It was.
I did not know that.
He sampled me.
Wow.
And then the story doesn't end there. I ended up touring with Miss Jade. I had her opening for me on tour in the U.S., and then Timbaland came for a little run too. He did a Turn Off the Light remix. But in addition, that very first day, he goes, I want you to hear something. Sit down. So we sit in, like I sat in a good spot right in front of the speakers, and he played me "Get Your Freak On" by Missy Elliott, and no one had heard it.
Wow.
I was probably one of the first people to hear it. And he goes, "Missy wants you on the remix. Can you go to?" I'm sorry, but I don't remember the state we went. It was probably Virginia where we went to record it. Can you fly to Virginia next week or whatever? And I said yes, and I'm literally 22. And I remember I went with one of my best friends. I just flew there on my own, and I get to the studio, and Missy's like, "Hey, what's up? You know, I saw your video. I'm like a bird." And I was like, "Who's this girl in shell toes and like the Princess Leia buns? Like, this is so cool. You're like, I like your energy."
I feel like you started doing her sound effects to her, like beep beep. Did you do stuff like that?
I did.
Something tells me you did that.
Well, she just left me with the engineer. She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna sit out here. Here's my engineer. You know, Brian. I don't remember his name. Sorry, Brian, but." And I sat in the studio and I was like, okay, it's game time. I got to hit this verse out of the park. And when I was coming up in Toronto, I would do this thing where I had too many lyrics and I had to try to fit them all in the bars. So I had to come up with a way to sing rap them, you know? And so that's the style you hear on that record, that Get Your Freak On remix. So I'm in there and I'm like, I got to hit the other bar. She's got to love it. Okay. And I just like, yeah, I just went for it. And then she did love it. So.
She first verse you laid, she was like,
Yeah,
oh, this is
that's
it.
it.
Done Deal Records. Yeah.
Wow.
And Justin Timberlake, how did y'all meet?
Justin met. So Timbaland and I flew to, you know, make good on the promise of all our earlier remixes. Jimmy Iovine from my label said, "You got to go work with him again and fulfill the promise of that chemistry you got," you know. So I was like, yeah, and we were in the same state of mind musically. We were listening to a lot of like really cool stuff, like kind of rock and like just interesting, a mix of things. We were on the same wavelength. I flew to Miami, started cutting loose with Timbaland. We finished loose. Justin heard it and, you know, kept going with Tim and finished Future Sex Love Sounds. And so while I was finishing my record, Justin was starting that, and he came through the studio. And yeah, he's so impressive. He's a real deal, really talented. And he was like right there when we wanted him to be on this new song we put out last year called Keep Going Up. And I don't know, it just feels, you know, I think actions speak louder than words in a way, you know, with family and the idea of supporting, you know, artists, because you know how it is. It's business, right?
Very
so
fickle.
It's cool when people can, you know, deliver that way so quickly. It was a quick turnaround. We just made the record and we put it out. And
were there any, because those are like historical, like you listened to Missy Elliott's song before anybody heard it, and that song, you know what I mean, it's huge. Were there any songs that you got to hear first and you were like, oh, maybe it's not for me, and then it like became a staple icon like that song?
Yeah, we thought Promiscuous was just going to be like a club record, just for the clubs. We thought it would just kind of just come out, people dance to it for a bit, and then it just shot to #1. It was #1 for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think you're talking about people that
like
other artists,
yeah,
not
like
me.
where they bring you on, because I feel like you had such a wave of
Oh my God,
hopping on
Jurassic
songs.
5. Jurassic 5 used to record in their house in LA, and I'm on a song called Thin Line. The Roots, Phrenology. I was like listening to Cody Chestnut before, because I heard Cody Chestnut's whole thing before he came up with that album, because he would be hanging in Philly with the Roots. Shout out Questlove. Still friends with Questlove after all these years. I used to sing You Got Me on on the Area 1 tour that Outkast was on with the Roots. And so he's the realist, one of the realists in the business, I think. And basically, yeah, the Phrenology album, I'm on that album too. I don't know. So Cody Chestnut, pretty legendary. He'd be hanging around in Philly, and we heard all his songs. Shoot, now I'm like, I like this type of conversation. I'm like,
You're thinking about good times.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they're just cool, like records, just cool stuff.
Before it got
Keep thinking.
Yeah.
A good question.
before it got too businessy. Before the business took over. That's what it feels like when you just.
Like, you mean now, the business now versus how the business used
Yeah, like
to be?
it seems like back then when you're talking, it was just
It's
creative
art.
and it was fun. It was art. You was doing it for the love. But then you
I
blew
mean,
up.
well, I mean, it was. I mean, I don't know, because I felt like I kind of blew up with my first album because I was already like on pretty big tours and doing, but it was a different type of thing, I guess, than Loose, because then Loose was, I guess, even bigger than that album. So, yeah, but I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of some other songs like that. Yeah. Oh, there's a Lil Wayne remix of Maneater, and he recorded it in Miami. Do you know my song Maneater?
Is he rapping about eating mint?
No.
We never heard that though, right?
Huh?
We never heard that remix, did we?
I think someone leaked it like recently. Not that. Like, I feel like if you could probably find it on the internet, but because his studio was right beside where Timbaland would work, right there at the Hip Factory, and he came through and did he did a really amazing verse, and we had a remix. The music's totally different. I performed that remix before, but not with Lil Wayne's verse, but cool little things like that, you know?
Can I ask you about
Cool
motherhood?
moments.
Can I ask you about motherhood?
Sure.
How has motherhood like influenced your perspective on life? And isn't your daughter
I have 3 kids.
involved in this album too?
Yeah, actually, yeah, she's turning 21 tomorrow. Same day my album comes out.
Wow.
And she's credited as one of the A&Rs on the album, actually. And she works in the music business. She's working already at the second record company she's worked at. And she's in marketing. A&R, she goes to NYU. And she's
Dope.
really smart.
Is she like the person that you're afraid to play your music for?
Yeah. There's some songs like, I did a crazy song with my friend, and my friend played it for her. And I'm like, oh, you played her that one? It's just like, you know.
Good critiques
Kind of
though.
a
What is
shenanigan
she
song.
normally saying back to the music she doesn't like?
What does she say?
Yeah,
she
like
tell you
when
it's
she
whack?
doesn't like something, what does she say?
She should be like, yo, mom, that's whack.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very opinionated, and she's talented. So she has some co-writes too. She wrote some stuff on the album too with me, but it was like super low key, you know, like no big deal, because she has the little other administrative side as well. So, anyways, yeah, it's a process. She reminded me actually to kind of be real with my sound, and she kept saying this one thing. She said, "Mom, there's two, you know, you need to make the music 3-dimensional. You know, this beat isn't 3-dimensional enough. It's like too basic, or like your vocals, or like we need to round out the sound, like real kind of, I guess, I feel like she was thinking about everything, kind of like she A&R kind of like creative directed like Tiny Desk I did recently.
Yeah.
She was very involved and was like, no, you got to do this. She's the one who told me to do the Get Your Freak On remix.
Wow.
She said, you must do that one.
Is she your most honest A&R ever? Like your most honest critic?
Yes.
Wow.
It's kind of like, it's cool having kids, especially to become adults, because it's the closest thing to having like a second brain, you know, and you're like, I wish I had 2 people so I could get more done, you know? So she'll like come in like in those moments, you know, where I'm like, I need help, you know, finishing this artwork, or like, what do you think? Like, you know, yeah, it's really, really, it's been a blessing.
Did you want her to be in the music industry?
No, I didn't. I really kept her away from the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I protected it. I tried my best to protect her privacy. Because, you know, I think that's important. And
Motherfuckers are crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, how you gonna, you know, you gotta know who you are. You gotta become you, right? And I think that's important. And yeah. So, music business. Do I want my kids to be? You can't fight it if they're talented. I don't think. You know what I mean? Like, look at somebody like Justin Bieber. Like, it's clear he wanted to be there singing. Like, some music was coming out of him at a young age as a kid, and you know, I was singing at a young age, but, you know, I didn't get to do it professionally till later. But I'm grateful because I got to go to college for a bit. I got to backpack in Europe. I got to go to prom, you know?
But it's got to be tough.
I got to work at the alarm company, you know?
It's got to be tough when you're disconnecting from the industry and your daughter wants to be in it.
Oh, I don't mind.
It's 2 different facets, too.
I don't mind because she's more on the marketing and the business side. You know what I mean? So I'm just always like.
Was that her choice, or did you encourage her to go in from that side and just do the creative stuff with you?
Became natural.
Gotcha.
It was natural. She actually didn't go into the studio with me, besides for like maybe as a kid, a baby once in a while. She didn't go into the studio with me until she was 16. And she discovered she loved it. So, yeah.
And you know, you have reinvented yourself a bunch of times across a bunch of different albums. So what makes you want to explore new sounds and themes in new creative directions besides your daughter? What makes you want to do it?
Oh, me. Oh, I'm a curious mind. I just have a curious mind. I mean, I have an entire album in Spanish I put out in 2009. My parents are Portuguese. They're from the Azores Islands. And I don't know, I just grew up with a lot of eclectic music. I was in the Portuguese marching band. Like, my grandfather was a marching band composer. I, would just hang out and record dance music with my DJ friends or more like hip hop with my friends that had hip hop groups or whatnot over the years. So I don't think I see music in terms of genre, I see it as a language. So that's really what inspires, because I think more than anything I like people, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what the curiosity is. Like on Save Your Breath, actually, that artist is from Haiti, Willianne 108. She's my friend, my collaborator's mother, and she's actually a TikTok star. She's a motivational. She has a motivational sort of TikTok she does, and she's a great artist. She's probably 55, I think she is. And then my friend's mother, Tagoe, she's 77. She's on that record too. She used to sing with Rick James.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Tainomi Banks, who's a very successful drag queen and a good friend of mine, is on there too. And that's why I say this is a community recording, because it's just, I love bringing people together.
Did you ask her about Rick James? Did you be like, hey, were those Chappelle episodes real?
I don't know. I'm sure
stories with Rick James.
It sounds colorful. Yes, it sounds colorful. But yeah, I love that you asked me that, because I think
about cocaine?
No, about having an interest in like eclectic, like like how I'm interested in so many styles of music and why, what's the reason? And I think at the end of the day, I have a curious mind, and I just want to challenge myself all the time, and I get bored very easily. And I just want to check. I got a song with Andrea Bocelli and The Game, It's like, there's no thread,
That's dope.
When you, I was going to ask, when you see other artists like kind of getting like bashed for doing that, being able to switch in and out of genres and different types of music, how do you feel about that? Because you've done it very well and it's been accepted across very different genres and ethnicities. Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I feel you on that. I guess, I get the same thing too, because people don't I'm hard to market. It's hard to market my music. You know what I mean?
Why?
Because I'm not a brand.
You think you get that? I feel like people have accepted.
Like, what brand am I? I don't
Nelly
even
Furtado.
know.
Yeah, you've always.
What's the aesthetic? I have no clue.
I think Nelly Furtado is just Nelly Furtado. Like you're one of those people like Nelly Furtado put out an album. I'm listening. I got introduced to you. I knew about the old Nelly album, but I really got introduced to you when you started working with Timberlake.
Okay.
But so from that moment on, it seems like I'm always checking for Nelly Furtado just because of the connection with Timberlake. That's my personal experience with your music.
You're right. Yeah. There's always different avenues for people to come.
You feel like you got back? You feel like you didn't get accepted in certain genres and stuff? Like you?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna say that I think every artist, when they try to change their sound or style, you'll definitely get, like, for instance, right? My second album was called Folklore. And, when I first came out, my image on Whoa Nelly was
Very
more
different.
like, oh, look, she's like eclectic, but like she's Portuguese, but she has a little bit of hip hop influence. She has this and that. So it's sort of like, oh, wow, look at the fun ethnic girl do fun music, you know what I mean? And then when I came with Folklore, it was a little more like emo and singer-songwriter. So it was like, oh, I don't get it. Why is she sad? Feel me?
Like, you're not allowed to be sad.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
That vibe.
But your
some
influences
people
are so much,
really
though.
mess with it, and it's their favorite album ever, Folklore,
But I feel like that's what artists should do. Like, I don't like when artists stay just consistent on one thing. Reason I love Kendrick Lamar, because Good Kid, Mad City sounds totally different than the Pimp a Butterfly. Pimp a Butterfly sounds totally different than Damn. Damn sounds totally different than, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I love that.
But it's also the influences, right? Her influences are De La Soul, but also Madonna. Like, they go from so many different ranges.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, I grew up on kind of 80s too. My dad had like a record player in the living room, so I was listening to also like ABBA or Lionel Richie or like everything just meshed together. And then I will say, being 14 or 15 in the late 90s was a gift.
Amazing time.
The best R&B and urban. Like, it gave me. I got goosebumps again. I got goosebumps twice on the show today. So like, I'm just lucky, that I got to grow up with the influences I had. But I think artists should take more risks. I love when artists, because what people don't realize is like, they're just kind of like you gotta deconstruct to construct again. How are you gonna like grow or get better if you don't deconstruct, right? It's like anything, like a garden, right? A garden, like the flowers wilt in the winter.
But when you do an album or you step outside of the box, quote unquote box, and you don't get recognized, how does that feel? Like, and the reason we say that is everybody's been talking about Beyonce, who did the country album and not nominated. So how would that make you feel as an artist? You put this album out, it was #1 on the charts, your record was spinning #1.
Yeah.
But they don't that genre doesn't recognize you.
Yeah, geez. I think that that's a good question too. How do I feel? I had an answer. You were going.
Feel your feels, Nelly. Feel your Nelly. You're not in a rush. Feel your feels.
Okay. Yeah. I tend to do that in interviews. I talk really fast.
We know.
Yeah, I'm going through I got lucky with the Spanish album, probably because I had a history. I had done a song with Juanes. I'd done a song with Calle 13. I'd done some stuff, in Spanish. And then by the time that album came around, I spent a lot of time curating it. You know what I mean? Like I worked very closely with my really good friend who A&R'd Andres, and we reached out to the community, got a lot of different voices involved. Everybody from Juan Luis Guerra to we even have like Alejandro Fernandez on the album, Julieta Venegas. So we have like a lot of, you have to just be mindful, you know what I mean? And try to do it with as much grace as you can, right? Or be just like, I don't know. For me, I always,
do you remember his original question?
No.
It was. I was gonna let you rock, girl, because you cute. You look so good answering it though. Keep the glasses is a look.
Is it okay?
Yes, it's a look.
I do that all the time.
I look at these eyes and they look like they glazed over.
I'm gonna say, where's she going?
Originally, he basically said
I do
Beyonce
that
wasn't
all
accepted.
the
How did
time.
you feel?
I was
But
about
it's
Beyonce
fine.
not being
good
accepted
question.
outside the box.
See,
It was too much going on in the beginning of it anyway, and he took a long time to ask, and I think you drifted off, and we were here for you.
She
that
drifted
is
off.
Yeah,
like,
we were here for you.
That's the peak artistry when you can shift the cultural needle. You know what I'm saying? And political needle. Like that's incredible. Like the respect is huge. And I also was lucky enough to kind of come up. Well, no, Destiny Child was already out, but like I'd crossed paths with Beyonce a couple times, briefly, and I love her, obviously, her energy and her light. And I think that that is like the peak of what you could achieve as an artist, is do something like that. That's absolutely peak,
How do you feel about you?
So being accepted doesn't really matter.
Boom.
At all. You know what? I'll tell you this.
You got it. You answered it. You did it. Yes,
That
go
was the
girl.
question. There you go. Yep.
Because there are sometimes
You got that, girl.
there are songs. Sometimes there are songs where you might think no one was listening, no one was paying attention, but I'm telling you, like years later, a DJ might remix it.
Yeah.
This happened to a song I put out. Rodney Jerkins produced it. It's called Big Hoops. Super cool track.
Shout
You know, I
Rodney.
put it out. Yeah, 2013. It's on a Spirit Indestructible album I did. It's jamming. It's like literally, if you played it right now, I'd be like, see? But like, it was fine. Didn't really make any waves or anything. But 10 years later, these DJs from the UK, they remixed it. And it was top 40. It was like, I played at my shows. And I'm like, see? Real recognizes real. At the end of the day, someone will find it. Same happened with my track Powerless, which was successful in certain places, but not globally. Years later, I'm halfway across the world and I'm at a school. I was doing some nonprofit work and teaching girls songwriting and things like that. And they say to me, wait, Powerless, that's the one we want to sing. That's our theme song for this school. You know what I mean? All the way in Kenya, And I go, see, that's why. That's why I make this. It's like eventually, like if you write a song from your heart, somebody's going to find it someday. Even this new stuff, I'm putting it out tomorrow. It's like, I go away for a long time, I don't have like that type of cycle in my albums where my fans are like right there with me, and it's like I treat it kind of different. So like I don't know who the music will get to or when or how fast. Yeah. But I do know that whoever does listen to it, you know what I mean, eventually it'll get its own love or whatever, whatever
That's
love
a great space
it
to be in
deserves.
because the pressure isn't there as much. You good with what happens and you know to grow. You did
I appreciate the little things.
That's right.
Like my record with Dom Dalla, really amazing tech house DJ. It's called Eat Your Man. It just went gold in Canada, and we didn't expect it. It was again, let's make a club record for the raves. You know, we've since performed it at Lollapalooza, Coachella. It's a proper it's in the dance canon now. You
Why
know,
do you like Eating Men so much?
My friend wrote that with me. She's like, you should reference yourself. My really good
Gotcha.
friend Angeli, from another great writer from Toronto, and she's like, why not? And so it would take like a friend to convince you to reference yourself. You know, you're not going to do that on your own. Not me. That's not my personality. But I was like, sure, like that's cute. Like I love remix culture. I think the idea, like it's very meta, you know, very very unique actually. And I liked it, you know.
You did 4.4 million views for your Tiny Desk. So I think people love.
Is that good?
Yeah, what? Yeah, that's great. People love, but it's the live performance, Nelly, that people love. And I know that you talked a little bit sometimes about Vegas.
Oh,
is that something that you would do? Is that coming?
That's an idea
Is that
I've been
happening?
cooking up lately. Yeah, I really love the culture around Loose as an album, and the culture around like Timbaland and I's connection, and just like the idea of it's a very clear picture. It's those late nights in Miami. It's at like those palm trees and the red and white cover and the whole. I met somebody recently who does a whole club night called Loose in LA, and I couldn't believe it. It was like, no, this is the hottest party. It's called Loose, and I was like, oh. That's crazy because I want to do a Vegas show called Loose, and it all made sense. Like I just think Vegas would be the great outlet for recreating Loose in a cool environment and being creative with it, of course.
So you want to do a residency there?
Ultimately, I feel like that would be on my bucket list. Yeah.
No deals have come your way with that yet, because this is not your first time mentioning it. They haven't grasped that yet. Like they haven't.
No, it's in the works. Yeah, it's a bubbling.
Oh, that's dope. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
When next year, 2025?
That remains to be seen because the 25th, Loose will be 25 years old in 2025. Or, I'm sorry, 2026.
You really a legacy artist now, Nelly Furtado.
Isn't that funny?
Wow. It don't feel like 25 years, but I guess time flies, huh?
I know.
What do you think about social media, right? How do you view its impact on artists and their relationship with fans compared to when you first started your career? Because it's like a real direct connection, and they want so much of you.
I like social media.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it vibes with my mind. Like I really like TikTok. I love that it's so immediate. I love, DMing like DJs, or they DM me and like I do this remix, or artists, and it's so direct. It's so instantaneous, and I do like that about it.
So you answer your DMs and everything?
Some of them, yeah.
Oh, they're gonna be in there like crazy today.
Hey, at Nelly Furtado. Yeah. So I think social media is actually pretty amazing when it comes to music business stuff. At the same time, I don't always love when I thought I knew a song, but then I hear the whole song and it's totally different, you know? Like you that TikTok sound, you're like, oh, this song's actually really good when I heard the whole song, you know? But I mean, whatever, I can deal with that too. It's fun. It's all fun.
How do you balance the vulnerability that's required, not just in songwriting, but nowadays just as a talent period, because people want so much of you.
Vulnerability, right?
Yeah. How do you balance being vulnerable but also having boundaries in your personal life?
That's such a tough one, man. That's a tough one because my songs are so personal. They're almost like sometimes I'm like just draining blood from my heart into the song, actually. So it's like they're really personal. So some songs are more personal than others, but it's hard because if people ask me about it, like I don't want to necessarily go into detail. I'll be more like, well, you listen to the song and you feel what it makes you feel. You know what I mean?
Do you not go into detail because it like rehashes that pulling blood situation?
Or it's like you don't want to be sad. You don't want to like just be like just negative. I like to kind of like stick in the positive energy. You know what I mean? I find like it's more it's more magnetic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, cause I think I've been caught out there before in the past, over the years, whatever, careers, highs and lows, where you kind of like, you focus, like you get too caught up in the wrong things, or like the wrong way to express yourself, or like you're not, you know what I mean? Like you got to focus on the positive and just keep that joyful energy. I think that's important.
That makes all the sense in the world.
It can be serious, but be joyful.
Like what if you come in the studio, you're positive, but then somebody brings up one of your songs that might trigger you still, but it's your song. So
that's a good question too. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I think I'll just start that journey tomorrow when the album comes out because I'm gonna get asked. They're gonna ask me.
Whose idea was it?
Whether it's a fan or I gotta pick and choose what I want to talk about. I think.
Whose idea was it to go more urban in hip hop? Because
For the album?
No, just what you're doing. Because
my whole-
your influences have been De La Soul. You talk about Timbaland.
Yeah.
You talk about it, but now it's like you're doing more of that. You're doing more interviews. You're doing more. Why is that? Is because it is an influential thing, or you think that some of your records have crossed over before?
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like
Do you
early
just like
in
the
my
blacks?
career, it's been natural. You know what I mean? It's been a natural thing. It's just like people, you don't chase anything. You know what I mean? My manager always would say that. You let people come to you. And it's like, and that's organic. And so that's it. Just like whatever energy comes my way, people want to work with me. But yeah, it's true. Yeah, early in my career, a lot of urban artists wanted to work with me. You know what I mean? And it was just natural. It wasn't something I sought out. It was just organic. It's kind of what I think
dope,
that was a good answer.
Yeah, I think dope recognizes dope.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like there's certain people you can smell it on and you be like, okay, that's not authentic. But like I think like you, Amy Winehouse, like to me, y'all got the right energy.
Thank you. Because I don't take that lightly. I don't want to,
offend the blacks.
No, I also feel just privileged
guy's a
to
jerk.
be making music. And
Right.
obviously it's we're the influences. You know what I mean? The history. Just like I'm just happy to be sort of like accepted, I guess, by a lot of different genres. Right? Even Latin, like Spanish music. It's like my parents are Portuguese, but if you do it with sincerity, and you're coming from a place of learning and sincerity, it's like no one can fault you for that, right? And if you try to do it well, right? And that's because I feel like I'm just still that person that just really believes music is the only kind of proof of life and proof of God in terms of people. You can get together people that don't even like each other. I've experimented with that before in a art setting, not too far at MoMA PS1. I was invited to just at the fundraiser to own a room and do whatever performance art I wanted to do. And I chose to teach people how to write songs. But a bunch of people would just come in the room, and some of them weren't songwriters, and we would just make a song out of thin air together. And to me, it was asking the question, like, why do you feel connected to somebody you walk by on the sidewalk? You know what I mean? Why do you feel connected to a stranger you walk by?
Right.
Like, what is that? It's a collective, the collective unconscious. And so music is proof of that, man. It's proof of that.
7 is God's number.
Goosebump.
And 7 is
really?
Seven is
That's
God's
good.
number.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Tell me more about that.
7 is God's number.
I'm about to Google it. Don't worry.
Tell me more. 7 is God's number. Oh my goodness.
I do have one last
She has to
question.
leave in a
I know
second,
you
too,
gotta
yes.
leave.
I have the answer to the 7.
Go ahead, answer the question. Who's
It's in the Bible. The number 7 is quite significant in the Bible, appearing over 700 times throughout both the Old and the New Testaments. In biblical numerology, 7 symbolizes completion or perfection. It is said that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day.
completion and perfection?
My grandma would have been mad I had to Google that because I knew that.
It's good angel numbers too. If
Yeah,
you see
great angel
777, let me
Yeah,
find. Let
and
me find that.
7-Eleven as well.
7-Eleven,
like
like the
7-Eleven?
store.
No numbers, yeah. 7-Eleven I love.
Oh.
It means the numbers, not the store,
okay.
guys. Not the store.
11 is my favorite number.
11?
And 22, just because they're like.
I like 3. Like, do you know your life path number? I'm kind of into life path numbers.
Yeah, my favorite is 3.
My
Mine's
last,
3. Do you know how to do your life path number?
No.
I used to.
I'm going to count your dates.
Oh no, I was just gonna tell you my last.
She looked
question.
at the paper like, what's the last question?
No, it's just.
No.
Who is Nelly Furtado right now?
Oh, I'm a work in progress. Yeah, I'm just a work in progress. I'm just like taking it day by day, just kind of trying to like just accept myself and love myself as much as I can, and not take my craft for granted and my talents for granted, and just be grateful.
So you'll be back. This isn't a one and done. Like you're not gonna go back.
I know.
Disappear for another
Hard to
7
trust
years.
me.
What's your sign?
We still don't trust me. Pardon?
What's your sign?
Sagittarius. I was gonna call the album Sagittarius.
I'm a
My wife is a
Sagittarius
Sag.
too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm November 22nd.
22nd? Oh, you're just barely a Sagittarius.
Yeah, I'm cussed. They think I'm crazy when I say that though, but
No, you're still Sagittarius.
Mhm.
Definitely. So yeah, that's who I am right now. I'm just like taking it day by day and figuring it out, trying to accept my flaws. But then I think the key too is like accept my light as well. We all have to accept the light we have and just like, and that's a lifelong journey.
That's the beauty of life. It is a journey.
Yeah.
And you should just appreciate and respect the process.
There you go. And we appreciate you for joining us this morning.
You were really amazing. I got
Thank you so
goosebumps
much.
4 times.
And you
Thank
were nervous when you came in here or something,
You were.
right?
You were like, what are you going to ask?
Yeah,
What are you
a
going to
little
ask?
bit. I'm glad. Yep.
I'm sorry.
We could have asked you Kendrick or Drake. Pick one, but we didn't, so. We didn't.
The
Well, Nelly-
Weeknd.
The Weeknd. All right. It's Nelly Furtado. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.